boys and girls, it's Mrs. Matthews. Were you able to generate some good questions about being an astronaut in training? I came up with some questions too. Let's see if mine are good research questions. How about the first one? What do you have to do to become an astronaut? If you think that's a good question, put a thumbs up. All right, I agree with you. It is a pretty good question. We can do some research on that. What about number 2? How do the people at Mission Control help the astronauts? Do you think that's a good question? Leads to some good research, or thumbs down, not a good question? If you have your thumbs up, I agree with you. That would be a good question. How about number 3? When did the first astronaut launch into space? Would that be a good question that we can do some research, or not a good question? I don't know if I like that one as a question. I would kind of give that a thumbs down, because if we say when, we might just get a date. So I'm going to cross that question out. I don't think that's such a great question. I hope you came up with some really good questions about living in space. No, excuse me, training to live in space, becoming an astronaut in training. We're not going to look through this entire book, but we are going to take a look at just a couple of the pages. It's called Astronaut in Training, and again, it is by Catherine Clay. And let's start off with our organization here, our table of contents. So we might want to, if we want to learn about being an astronaut, and if I want to answer the question, what do you have to do to become? Well, I'd probably look right here, becoming an astronaut. Where else could I look? Oh, if you said basic training, that would be another good place, or advanced training. You're right, I might even want to talk about preparing for spacewalks. How about if I wanted to find out what Mission Control, what they do? That's right, I'd probably want to go to training with Mission Control and what I would do there and what they do for me. Let's take a look at the index. If I look at the index in the back and I wanted to answer the question about Mission Control, I can see right here, Mission Control would be on those 2 pages. So that's where I'm going to look to see if that has the information I need to answer the question about how they help the astronauts. And what do I have to do to become an astronaut? Where could I look there? Maybe underwater training, sure. Maybe spacewalks, maybe even survival skills. I wonder what college has to do with it. Maybe that's something as well. All right, let's take a look. We're going to see if we can answer these couple of questions. And again, we're not going to look through the entire book. Just go through a few pages. Who are astronauts? Just in case you want to know, the first astronauts launched into space in 1961. And this has a nice chart of famous astronauts. Becoming an astronaut. Becoming an astronaut is competitive. A college degree is a must, and future astronauts study science and engineering. The space agency NASA chooses and trains U.S. astronauts. You must be healthy and physically fit and have excellent eyesight, and they face a difficult interview process. Here's some requirements. You have to be a certain height. You have to have good blood pressure. You have to have professional experience. You have to be able to pass a swimming test. That's in case the spacecraft lands in the water. You want to go through some basic training. You can train at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. You even train with some survival skills, because the spacecraft could land in a remote area and they need to learn how to treat injuries and how to build shelters and find clean water. Then there's some advanced training that you do. They learn about the International Space Station. And remember that full-size model that's in Houston? Well, that's what it looks like. And they work with Russian cosmonauts, so you need to learn Russian, the language and the customs. And the cosmonauts learn English as well. You need to prepare for spacewalks, and they do that by going underwater and practicing that way. And weightlessness. If you get a chance to watch the video that I have up there for you, you can see the weightlessness of Doug and Bob in the Dragon capsule. You practice with models. They use models of the space shuttle, and here's a training model, the outside of a shuttle. And we don't use the shuttle anymore. This is a picture of the Soyuz spacecraft, because the space shuttle was retired. Now they travel aboard the Soyuz spacecraft, or SpaceX, which launched this summer. Some space gear. Talk about wearing the suit, all the different controls, and of course you would have to practice wearing the suit. some mission training, because your mission might be to do experiments. Your mission might be to actually fix something on the space station. Okay, so it just depends. So you go over your particular mission and you train with your crew. And then mission control. Mission control supports the astronauts. Workers there are called flight controllers. Astronauts and flight controllers practice their missions together. The U.S. one is in Texas. Flight controllers try to think of any problems that might happen. Solving problems on the ground prepares them for success. Flight controllers can see information about the spacecraft, and they pass along this information to the crew, and they work to keep the crew safe. The future. This could be you, boys and girls. We don't know what's going to happen. You might be able to go to Mars and explore. The United States is building a new type of spacecraft called Orion and will fly far into space. You might even land on Mars. It's a tough job, but a rewarding job. Astronauts push their minds and bodies to the limit, and they risk their lives on dangerous missions. All this is made possible by the astronauts' intense training. And this is astronaut John Grunsfield giving a thumbs up in space. That was a real quick look. We do have a glossary again and some places to read more and some internet sites. But that was a real quick look at an astronaut in training. Hopefully, boys and girls, you got the idea of being able to generate really good questions for research. Thank you for listening.